Things just got a whole load worse for Meghan Markle because her sister Samantha ain't going anywhere.
Some stories fall apart quietly. Others explode the second someone asks the wrong question.
The family claims and state that Meghan had a hysterectomy.
And for Meghan Markle, critics say that question may finally be here.
I do believe because there are no delivery certificates.
How can someone be pregnant if online claims about past medical procedures are true? That single point, repeated by commentators, podcasts, and especially by her sister Samantha Markle, has turned an already fiery public debate into a full-blown storm.
How can a woman with a hysterectomy be pregnant? And most of all, why did the royal family go along with this? And what's going to happen now that this has come out? This is a punishable crime. This is fraud in the highest levels.
And the internet is glued to every second of it. Because according to Samantha and a long list of online critics, nothing in Meghan's pregnancy timeline has ever added up.
People think her kids are fake. They think they're AI.
I'm going to quote Tom Bauer by saying, he said, look, we all laughed at Samantha and she was right. And everything she said has come true.
They point to missing details, unusual secrecy, and patterns they believe raise more questions than answers. None of it is confirmed, none of it proven, but the speculation machine doesn't care. Once the internet latches onto a mystery, it chews on it like it's the last plot twist in a royal drama. And this one might be the biggest twist Meghan has ever faced. What makes it even more explosive is that these claims aren't coming from random anonymous accounts. They're coming from people who say they know her, or once did.
In my opinion, she would still be a waitress if it wasn't for Dad.
Samantha Markle has repeated for years that the public needs to look at the timeline, a phrase that commentators say has become the unofficial rallying cry for skeptics. Online discussions, YouTube breakdowns, live streams, and entire Reddit threads have built themselves around that single idea. Look deeper, and whether you agree with Samantha or think she's motivated by something else entirely, one thing is clear: her words hit harder than any tabloid headline. She's not shouting, she's not raging. She delivers her claims with the calm tone of someone who believes time will eventually prove her right. And that confidence, fair or not, is what keeps fueling the fire.
Did you make Kate cry?
No, the reverse happened.
That's where today's controversy begins. Because the moment Samantha repeated her warning, people started revisiting old photos, old press releases, old interviews, anything that might offer clarity. And what they found only made the conversation louder. Critics highlight moments they call inconsistencies. Supporters call those same moments normal privacy. Commentators argue that the palace's silence makes everything look suspicious. Defenders counter that the palace stays silent about everything. And in the middle of the chaos stands Meghan, facing a storm she hasn't addressed directly.
When you have been lied about for a series of years, how hurtful that is.
While the speculation grows stronger by the hour, this isn't about proving anything today. It's about understanding why the public conversation has reached this boiling point, why Samantha's comments hit like an earthquake, and why so many people, rightly or wrongly, believe there's more to the story than what the palace presented. Because whether the claims are totally false, partly true, or wildly exaggerated, one thing is undeniable. The debate isn't dying down, it's intensifying. And what comes next depends on the answers people are demanding, answers no one has been willing to give.
And there's a very big difference. It was deliberate.
The moment Samantha Markle hinted that the public should look at the timeline, the internet didn't just look, it dissected everything like it was a crime scene file. Commentators say that was the turning point, the spark that pushed years of quiet whispers into a loud, nonstop conversation. What began as small pockets of online curiosity suddenly turned into full-blown investigations run by strangers with too much time, too much Wi-Fi, and a deep love for uncovering inconsistencies. And according to those critics, the first place everyone went was Meghan's pregnancy timeline.
This scandal comes as no surprise. Speculation about the children has been simmering for years.
Not because they had proof something was wrong, but because they felt something didn't feel right. They pointed out missing details, odd press strategies, and unusual silence from a palace known for keeping flawless historical records. Supporters dismissed the entire thing as internet imagination. But it was too late. The deep dive had already begun. Critics resurfaced old debates about the 2018 pregnancy announcement. They noted how quickly it came after the wedding, how tightly controlled the information was, and how few details were ever publicly released.
silence everybody and just produce a DNA sample.
They pulled up interviews, outfit photos, event footage, anything that might clarify or confuse the story. The more they watched, the more theories spread, and the more people felt justified in asking questions. Then came the moment that still gets clipped and shared today, the viral video of Meghan crouching down while her stomach appeared to shift in a way that critics found unusual. Supporters chalked it up to camera angles, fabric movement, or just a weird optical illusion. But to skeptics, it was something else. A visual oddity they believed supported their questions.
When she said, "I lost my father," we knew that she didn't lose our dad, she iced our father.
Whether that interpretation was fair or not didn't matter. The internet had taken sides. By the time baby number 2 was announced, the atmosphere was already tense. Commentators pointed out how the same pattern returned. Minimal hospital details, limited access, carefully managed press releases, and delays in official documents. Nothing was proven, nothing confirmed, but the repeated strategy made critics louder and supporters more defensive. Then speculation took a sharper turn. Some critics resurfaced old rumors, unverified claims about Meghan possibly having undergone medical procedures years earlier that, if true, might have complicated natural pregnancies.
If you had those things, it would be very easy just to put them out there and say, this is what happened. This is what it is.
Again, these accusations have never been confirmed, and Meghan has never stated anything of the kind, but online critics use them to frame their theory that the public story didn't match the timeline. This is where Samantha's comments gained traction. When she spoke calmly about looking at the timeline, people interpreted it as a hint toward hidden details. She never gave specifics, never presented documents, never released anything concrete, but her tone alone made the internet suspicious. It was subtle, too subtle for some, but exactly sharp enough for others who already believed something was off.
Has come forward and has absolutely revealed, and you're going to listen to her. She has absolutely revealed and confirmed that Rachel Meghan Markle was never pregnant, never gave birth to any children.
Whether Samantha meant to ignite a global debate or simply express personal frustration, the result was the same. She added weight to a conversation that had already been simmering, and instead of dying down, it escalated, dragging the palace, Meghan, Harry, and even royal tradition into the center of a firestorm. As the online conversations grew louder, a new layer of controversy emerged, one that commentators say pushed the entire debate into even wilder territory. It began with a claim that didn't come from a journalist, a palace insider, or even Samantha Markle, but from a woman known only by 2 letters, DL.
I don't like to say it, but I gotta say it. I don't know of anybody that cold to do this.
According to critics who amplified her story, DL was someone who said she had first-hand knowledge of Meghan's pregnancy journey. None of her statements were verified, none backed by official evidence, yet the internet treated her like a whistleblower stepping out of the shadows with something explosive to say. In videos shared across social media, DL claimed she had been involved behind the scenes in ways the public never knew. She described what she called a hidden process, involving clinics, confidentiality, and layers of secrecy. Supporters dismissed her as someone chasing attention, while skeptics argued that her quiet, measured delivery made her sound credible. But regardless of who believed her, one thing became clear. She changed the conversation overnight.
I'll tell you why. What she told the royal family, what she told Harry, wouldn't have jived, wouldn't have been consistent with the truth.
DL spoke about coded appointments, anonymous paperwork, and clients who used aliases. She never mentioned Meghan directly, but critics connected the dots themselves, and soon, her story was being interpreted as a direct challenge to the official narrative. The lack of clarity around her claims only fueled the debate further. Some people asked why she didn't provide definitive proof, others wondered why the palace didn't address the rumors to shut them down once and for all. Then came the moment that blew up across YouTube, TikTok, and celebrity commentary channels.
Here, the doctor talks about both the children, and listen to what she says.
So you tell me to tell you something that maybe a dozen people actually know that's going to come out very soon. Okay. Meghan Markle, the reason why you watch her interviews and she just seems off. She's owned by a pharmaceutical company. The 2 children that she had, they're not hers. She didn't have them with Harry. And how her and Harry met is that she's a
DL said she was willing to take a DNA test on live television. Her exact words spread like wildfire, stitched into reaction videos and clipped into viral edits. "If I'm lying, test me." Now, most viewers understood that this was not how legal, medical, or royal matters are handled. But the challenge itself dramatic, bold, and confrontational, was enough to make the speculation surge. Critics said her confidence hinted at hidden truth. Supporters argued that this was classic internet theatrics, and those caught in the middle simply wondered why the discussion had turned into a real-life episode of a political drama. Through all of this, Meghan and Harry stayed silent. No interviews, no clarifying statements, no direct acknowledgement of the speculation swirling around them. Their supporters said this silence was the responsible choice. You don't dignify rumors with a response. Skeptics said the silence created a vacuum that rumors filled effortlessly.
And when you're pregnant, there's not a pillow under your skirt. And there's live footage of her walking towards camera with her abdomen swaying left to right in a black and white checkered dress.
Commentators argued that the monarchy's tradition of never complain, never explain no longer works in a world where theories go viral faster than facts. Meanwhile, Samantha watched the storm grow. She didn't confirm DL's claims, and she didn't deny them either. Instead, she simply added more fuel by repeating a line from her father: "The truth doesn't fear questions." For critics, that sentence felt like confirmation. For supporters, it felt like provocation. For journalists, it became another quote to examine, dissect, and debate endlessly. All of it, the silence, the statements, the rumors, the timelines, mixed into a narrative so big and chaotic that even seasoned royal watchers admitted they had never seen anything like it. And according to those same commentators, this was only the beginning of the fallout.
Why have they simply not made an announcement to the fact that all of this speculation about the children's arrival?
Once DL's dramatic challenge hit the internet, the conversation didn't just intensify, it mutated. Commentators, lawyers, royal experts, and online sleuths all dove into the same question. What would it even mean if any part of these rumors were true? No one had proof, no authority confirmed anything, but speculation spread faster than actual information. And soon, a new angle took center stage: the monarchy itself. Some critics online began pointing to a lesser-known rule tied to royal succession. They argued that British tradition historically required royal heirs to be born of the body, a phrase that commentators say has been debated for centuries. Supporters of Meghan immediately pushed back, noting that succession laws have been updated many times and that modern families use many different paths to parenthood. Yet the online debate didn't calm down. Instead, it triggered a wave of questions about how the monarchy handles situations where tradition clashes with modern reality.
I think the palace and the machinery of the monarchy needs to take Harry and Meghan more seriously and make sure that Harry and Meghan's antics don't impact the future.
Royal analysts appeared on talk shows explaining that no matter what the rumors claimed, nothing had been confirmed. Still, they noted that whenever speculation touches succession, public reaction becomes emotional. People feel entitled to answers, even when the palace refuses to comment. Some argued that the monarchy should release clarifying statements to put rumors to rest. Others argued that the monarchy's silence was intentional, part of a long-standing strategy to avoid giving oxygen to controversy. Meanwhile, the internet had no patience for tradition or strategy. Comment sections filled with theories about legal loopholes, historical precedents, and hypothetical outcomes. One group insisted the claims were nonsense. Another argued that silence looked like avoidance. A third group demanded transparency about royal births, believing the public deserved clarity. Whether those expectations were reasonable or unrealistic didn't seem to matter. The debate had become its own machine. While the legal side became the new battleground, Samantha Markle re-entered the conversation in her usual calm, steady tone. She never confirmed the rumors, never presented evidence, and never directly accused anyone. Yet every time she spoke, the online chaos grew louder. Her interviews focused on truth, accountability, and family history, but critics interpreted her words as coded signals, tiny breadcrumbs hinting that she knew more than she was allowed to say. Supporters of Meghan called this manipulative. Critics called it brave. Neutral observers called it complicated. The palace, meanwhile, responded the only way it knows how, with absolute silence. According to royal reporters, behind-the-scenes discussions likely took place, but nothing reached the public. Even as headlines questioned legitimacy, tradition, and transparency, the palace kept its lips sealed. Some commentators said this was brilliant damage control. Others said it was a mistake that made rumors appear more believable. And as the speculation kept growing, one truth became impossible to ignore. This debate wasn't just about Meghan anymore. It had expanded into questions about monarchy, modern families, public perception, and the internet's obsession with uncovering conspiracies. The controversy had become bigger than the people involved. And according to many observers, the next phase would push it even further into uncharted territory. With the legal and constitutional debates spiraling, the public conversation took another sharp turn, this time toward the palace's communication strategy. Critics argued that the monarchy's absolute silence was creating more problems than it solved. Supporters insisted the palace was doing exactly what it should, refusing to dignify internet theories with attention. But the longer the quiet continued, the louder the speculation grew. And into that growing silence stepped Samantha Markle once again. Her tone never shifted from calm restraint, but the impact of her words did. In one interview, when asked whether she regretted speaking out, she paused and replied with a line that commentators replayed all over social media. "Regret only if the truth stops being the truth." It was a short sentence, but it echoed like a hammer. Critics interpreted it as a challenge. Supporters of Meghan saw it as another attempt to stir controversy. But neutral observers said the line felt like a window into years of family tension, raw, unresolved, and deeply personal. Samantha didn't raise her voice. She didn't accuse anyone outright. She didn't present new evidence or new details. Yet somehow, her restraint made everything feel more serious. She spoke about family memories, unanswered calls, fractured trust, and the emotional cost of watching a sibling shape a public identity that excluded them. She didn't claim to have secret documents or medical records. She only insisted that the inconsistencies deserve attention. For critics, that was enough to keep the theories alive. For supporters of Meghan, it was proof Samantha was fueling drama for attention. The divide deepened with every word she spoke. Meanwhile, Meghan and Harry's continued. Silence became its own storyline. Commentators noted how unusual it was for a couple so comfortable with media appearances to say nothing when the speculation reached this scale. Some believed it was strategic, others believed it was avoidance. And some argued the couple was trapped in a no-win situation. Speak up and fan the flames, or stay quiet and let critics shape the narrative. The media, smelling ratings, pounced. Talk shows filled their panels with royal experts. YouTube creators released hour-long breakdowns. Podcasts analyzed every theory, every quote, every facial expression from old interviews. Even people who weren't interested in the monarchy found themselves dragged into the whirlwind by algorithms feeding them clips, edits, and commentary. Legal analysts joined the conversation, not to validate the rumors, but to explain how misinformation spreads when institutions refuse to clarify. They pointed out that online narratives don't need evidence, they only need momentum. And by that measure, this story had more momentum than any royal scandal in recent memory. Yet through it all, one central theme kept returning: transparency versus privacy. Critics demanded answers. Supporters defended Meghan's right to keep medical and personal details private. And royal experts reminded everyone that the monarchy has always operated behind closed doors, revealing only what it chooses. That clash of expectations, modern openness versus historic secrecy, is what turned a family dispute into a global phenomenon. And according to the commentators following this saga from the start, what happens next will either calm the narrative or send it into an entirely new level of controversy. As the debate reached its peak, something unexpected happened. The public stopped asking only about Meghan and started asking what the palace planned to do next. The narrative had grown so large, so tangled, that even people who dismissed the rumors entirely admitted the situation had become a communications crisis. When speculation lasts this long, commentators say, it stops being about truth and starts being about perception. And perception is the one thing the monarchy has always worked hard to control. But this time, the palace didn't issue a statement. They didn't clarify anything. They didn't even send out the usual sources close to the family to calm the storm. Instead, the institution that once crafted the world's most polished image simply waited, hoping perhaps that silence might smother the noise. Some analysts called it discipline. Others called it denial. But everyone agreed this controversy had moved far beyond the control of traditional royal public relations. Meanwhile, the online world kept spinning at full speed. For every person calling the rumors baseless, another argued that unanswered questions only deepened suspicion. Channels reviewed timelines, podcasts revisited old interviews, comment sections turned into battlefields. And Samantha Markle, whether intentionally or not, remained at the center of a public narrative she never seemed in a hurry to escape. Her final interviews weren't loud. They weren't sensational. They weren't packed with claims or accusations. Instead, she spoke with the quiet exhaustion of someone who had said everything she wanted to say and didn't plan to repeat it. She reminded viewers of her family's past, of their fractured relationships, and of the years of tension that simmered long before Meghan married into royalty. Her focus wasn't on proving internet theories. It was on telling her version of their family's story, one she felt had been overshadowed by Meghan's fame. And then came the line that froze audiences around the world. History will remember who told the truth first. She didn't point fingers, she didn't make threats, she didn't claim victory. But her words left a shadow, a lingering sense that in her mind this wasn't a feud. It was a correction, a rewriting of the narrative she believed had left her and her father behind. Critics called her statement ominous. Supporters called it poetic. But everyone agreed. It solidified her place in the center of a story she had spent years resisting. Where does all of this leave Meghan? For her supporters, in the same place she has always been, a woman targeted by relentless rumors. For her critics, it raises new questions about transparency. For the palace, it becomes yet another reminder that silence in the digital age doesn't erase controversy, it amplifies it. And for the public, it leaves one unavoidable conclusion: this is far from over. The story has grown beyond a single rumor, a single timeline, or a single interview. It has become a mirror reflecting the world's obsession with royalty, scandal, and mystery. Before deciding what comes next or who to believe, viewers are turning to the deeper investigations already unfolding across the internet. One of those investigations examines how earlier interviews, expert commentary, and leaked claims reshaped the public narrative long before Samantha spoke. If you want the full picture, the contradictions, the timelines, and the commentary that sparked today's storm, that's where the answers begin. As the public tried to make sense of the storm, commentators began focusing on a bigger question: how did the story grow this powerful, this fast? After all, rumors come and go every day. Most fade. This one didn't. Instead, it tightened its grip on the public imagination like a mystery people refused to let go of. Analysts pointed to a perfect storm of timing, tension, and unresolved family drama that acted like fuel poured over a slow-burning fire. The story didn't explode overnight. It accumulated pressure for years. And according to those who track royal media cycles, the biggest force keeping the narrative alive wasn't Samantha, Meghan, or even the palace. It was the audience. People weren't just watching the story unfold, they were participating in it. Subreddits turned into archives of speculation. TikTok edits stitched timelines together. Long-form commentary videos pulled hundreds of thousands of views. Each piece of content added another layer, another angle, another theory. The mystery became communal. The speculation became entertainment. And the silence from all sides only made the plot feel deeper. This is where critics say the real shift happened. The debate stopped being purely about Meghan's pregnancies and instead morphed into a symbol of a larger cultural question. What do public figures owe the public? If you build a global brand on openness, critics argue, people expect answers. Supporters push back hard, saying motherhood, real or rumored, is nobody's business, especially when the questions involve private medical claims that have never been confirmed. But the internet doesn't operate with boundaries. It operates with curiosity. And once people take ownership of a story, it becomes almost impossible to steer it back. Royal reporters began discussing another element: the emotional weight behind Samantha Markle's voice. Whether people agreed with her or not, she spoke like someone carrying years of disappointment, and that tone resonated. It added depth to a narrative that had often been treated like gossip. She wasn't delivering headlines, she was delivering personal history, and audiences respond to emotion more than facts. Meanwhile, Meghan's supporters emphasized the other side of the coin, the reality that public women, especially those who marry into institutions with centuries of scrutiny, often face disproportionate judgment. They argued that speculation about pregnancies, timelines, and medical histories crosses ethical lines. They warned that normalizing this level of speculation sets a dangerous precedent for every woman in the public eye. Still, the conversation continued, stretching beyond the realm of logic or fairness. And as it grew, commentators began wondering what the royal family would do if the speculation refused to fade. Would they ignore it indefinitely? Would they push back privately? Would they release clarifying statements? Or would they let time bury the story, the way it has buried so many scandals before? No one knew. But one thing was certain: the debate had already reshaped how millions of people viewed Meghan, Samantha, and the monarchy itself. Some now saw Meghan as a victim of relentless scrutiny. Others saw Samantha as a woman refusing to be erased. And many saw the palace as an outdated institution struggling to navigate a digital world that refuses to forget. As analysts said on live television, the story isn't about what's true. It's about what people believe, and belief, once it spreads, is almost impossible to pull back.